Greetings, I am Twilight Valentine. In this video we would continue in Volume 19, Chapter 1, The First Battle, Part 12. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my channel. Thank you. And without further ado, let's start.
In fact, while Sylvia-san is said to be stronger than Eltan in terms of strength, Eltan is said to be more insightful and adaptable. It went without saying that Eltan had the political strength, so they were able to share their roles properly. And so, while explaining the situation to Sylvia-san and others, I tried to sort out the situation in my own way. It was likely that Michael was duplicating his powers and giving them to Feldway. So, in effect, Feldway could not be defeated without breaking through the castle guard. And because he could probably utilize not only the ultimate dominion but also the control system, it was impossible for anyone but an ultimate skill user to defeat him. In that case, the number of people who could take on Feldway and Michael would be limited. Well, it's not all bad. Oh, my attacks didn't work at all against Feldway, but I feel better now that I understand why. Moreover, Velgrin told me that the ability is fueled by loyalty to the master. When Rudra used it, he was invincible as long as there were Imperial subjects, but that has nothing to do with Feldway. His subjects are probably phantoms, so it makes me feel a little less guilty. Killing innocent people in the Empire was honestly too much for me. Well, actually, if that was really the only way, I guess I had to accept that the happiness of the many would come from the sacrifice of the few. I thought I was prepared to do it, but I wasn't completely sure if I would. I think I may have just been bluffing with Michael, but I didn't think I could have actually done it. The phantoms are invaders, so they must be prepared to die. Therefore, it would be polite for me to resist with all my might, and my conscience would not be hurt. When I expressed my feelings straightforwardly, Guy was taken aback. "Ha, are you still talking so naively? Well, it's true, but if you overthink things, you'll be the one who dies." I even got some friendly advice from him, but I thought that Guy was surprisingly lenient to his people. Now that we had discussed the main enemies, there was still one left. So, who is this Jahil? That's the guy the first had been dealing with. To be honest, I thought I had gotten pretty strong, but that guy was surprisingly powerful. I barely survived because we shared the same attributes. When I brought up the question, Benimaru took a stab at it. He has always had a cool personality, yet he was praising Jahil, his enemy. Well, he wasn't praising him exactly, he was just accurately analyzing the enemy's strength. It's rare for Benimaru to honestly admit defeat. No, I didn't lose though. It's just that I can't easily say that I'll win the next time. I wondered about that, but was relieved to see that Benimaru's confidence was still intact. However, if there was more than a fourfold difference in the estimated existence value, a slight difference in ability will not be enough to overturn it. Benimaru had gone through a lot of training to reach his current level of skill, so it was unlikely that he would grow rapidly from here. Well, as long as he didn't lose heart, he could stand up and face them. On the other hand, I had to be careful not to let Benimaru do anything rash. Guy, for example, seemed to like Benimaru, and said, "That's the spirit." Then, as if remembering something, he suddenly muttered, Come to think of it, what was the name of the bastard who summoned me?" This was answered by Misery and Rain. It was a lowlife bastard who called himself the great magician Jahil, the head of state of the great magic empire. That he was a high human created by the divine ancestor. I think even the divine ancestor considered him a failure because of his mental problems. It said that he was killed after summoning Gaia a long time ago, and he was mentioned in various grimoires and history books. The books I saw in Ingracia didn't mention him by name, but his reckless misfortune made him quite famous as a fool who unleashed the worst demon onto the world. That demon was the primordial, that is, demons like Guy and Diablo and the others, so it was understandable that Eltan and Gazel were wary of them. But now, it was no use worrying about them. The worst of them, Guy-san, has become one of us. Also, the said fool's name was Jahil, which couldn't be a coincidence. While I was pondering over this, Kagali said something surprising. "It can't be that Jahil, he was definitely my father." She said that Feldway had protected Jahil, who had lost his body and had become a wandering soul and had incarnated him in Footman. According to her conversation with Jahil, there was no doubt that he was Kagali's father. However, Sylvia-san objected to this. No, that can't be right, can it? He admitted that he and I are colleagues. He was the first highborn brother of the divine ancestor, and I was the third. By the way, Luminos-chan was the second. Jahil is the ancestor of the high humans created by the divine ancestor. And naturally, the true ancestor of the vampires is Luminos. So, the ancestor of the High Elves is Sylvia-san, I guess? It's said that there were other Highborns, but they are not known to exist now. They are said to have disappeared into history like Jahil. Incidentally, Gazel's grandfather, Grand Dwargo, the first hero king of the dwarf race, was a kind of ancestor who inherited the blood of the High Dwarf and was a close friend of Sylvia-san. For long-lived species, even historical figures were acquaintances. Sylvia-san and Guy were like living witnesses of such history. I didn't think it was wrong to say that. My father was definitely a high elf. Kagali was puzzled, but she understood that her perception was more unreliable. She was trying to figure out why there was such a discrepancy. And the conclusion arrived at the same time. My father, by Jahil he was taken over by Jahil, then. Well, what can I say, that guy was a lowlife bastard. It's no wonder Rain and Misery couldn't get rid of him, but that seems to have caused a problem. That is what Kagali, me, and Guy had to say about it. With the three of us in agreement, Jahil's identity had been confirmed. So then, my father is. Kagali muttered, leaning back in her chair. Unsure of what to say to her, we decided to leave the room quietly. And then, it was night. Guy and I moved to another place to have a drink together. By the way, the drinks being served were the ones I kept in my stomach. It was the result of Guy's forceful insistence that I prepare the same drinks that Rain and the others had been enjoying. I wanted to tell him to shove it, but I was a sucker for things that would last. It was too tedious and tiring for me to defend myself against Guy, so I decided to give in and sell him the favor. Diablo, Benimaru, Sue, Rain and Misery were also present at the party. Another person, Sylvia-san, was also present, and the secret late-night meeting proceeded quietly. What would we do with this country now that Leon was gone? That was the content of this secret discussion. Since we had been able to ascertain the enemy's strength during the daytime meeting, we were now reconfirming our future plan. The damage to the town was not too bad, but Leon's castle was badly damaged, and there were people who had nowhere to go. It was a problem that there was no place to receive the refugees. The general consensus of the knight captains was to stay in the country and rebuild the town and castle, but if the aggressors were to target this place, it would be difficult to deal with it. They would not be able to stop them from overrunning the place because they did not have enough forces to fight them. Now that Leon was gone, the probability of this place being targeted was low, but even so, I didn't think we should do nothing about it. If they're going to stay, why don't we just let them do what they want? That was Guy's opinion. I'm the one who was against it because it was dangerous. But you know, there's no point in just talking about ideals, right? You can ask El-chan, but I don't think Sarian will accept them, either. The total population of Leon's country was less than 20 million. It would be impossible to prepare enough food to feed such a large number of people. Well, they could endure for a few days, but if they didn't know for how long, there was nothing they could do. The people of the Golden Land El Dorado would be psychologically disheartened if they were to be sheltered without working. To be away from one's work for a long period of time was enough to make one feel uneasy. The idea of evacuating to another country was unrealistic, as was pointed out earlier. On the other hand, having someone stay behind to guard them was also. By the way, Guy, you won't be staying here, right? Well, I guess it's fine. I guess it's no good. As I thou, eh? What, it's not like we have a choice. This place is of little importance anyway, but even so, there's always the possibility that they'll take it out on them. No way, is this a joke? I hadn't expected Guy to agree so openly, so I was at a loss as to how to respond. I'm surprised, I didn't expect the terribly ruthless and cruel Red King, Rouge, to be such an understanding demon. The people's rumors sure were unreliable. Sylvia-san was surprised. I agreed with her. Are you trying to pick a fight? No way. There's no way I'm going to pick a fight I can't win. Of course not, I'm counting on you, Guy-san. His eyes were glaring. Sylvia-san and I exchanged glances and tried to cover it up with a friendly smile.